Detoxification is such a broad category that it requires a little more specificity. But you got to think about, well, what is it that you're trying to detoxify? There's many ways of going about detoxification depending on what it is you're dealing with. I recently made a video where I talked about the niacin sauna protocol, which is great for releasing stored toxins that are bound up to fats that have the body's having a hard time detoxifying otherwise. So I'll put a link in the description if you want to go check that video out. And that's a very powerful protocol that was actually optimized by our good friend Dr. George Yu, who is working on a grant from the Department of Defense to find the perfect way to detoxify 9/11 first responders who had an extraordinary level of toxicity from everything that they breathed in and took into their systems during that time when they're being heroes. Some other herbs, for example, that you hear a lot about that support like stage 1 and stage 2 liver detoxification would be Schisandra, is one of my absolute favorites, and it has many other benefits in terms of beauty and skin health and brain function and eye health. And then also milk thistle is another classic liver tonic. And then, you may be saying, oh, I don't need to, detox maybe certain things, but I need to detox something like hormones. Maybe you have like excessively high estrogen levels. And okay, how am I going to deal with that? Well, then you would look more towards something like, one, removing the estrogen sources from your diet. Stop drinking out of plastic water bottles. Stop having foods that are estrogenic. Stop having, like hormonally fed meats and things like that. And then supplement-wise, you look at calcium D-glucarate and diindolylmethane. So CDG and DIM. Those are two great supplements that can be taken in conjunction for really great hormonal detoxification. Now, maybe you're dealing with some heavy metals. On the gentle side here, and something very easy to do, you could look at a supplement like Cytodetox. This is spelled Cytodetox, and this is the clinoptilolite form of zeolite. Zeolite, they act like a cage. They go into your body, they trap the toxin, and they pull it out. Problem is, zeolites are a very large particle normally, so it can't get to everywhere in the body. Clinoptilolite zeolite is extremely small particles that can go down even to the level of the mitochondria, so it can really get in and do some deep cleaning. But maybe you have a much more serious heavy metal issue that needs a more aggressive, I guess you could say, approach, and that would mean you need to work with a medical professional and do chelation therapy, and this comes in the form of, say, EDTA. Addictive Wellness, this is Sage. How may I help you?
Hi, this is Sage Delivery.
Now, maybe you're dealing with a much more serious level of heavy metals and you got to get out some aluminum and some mercury and who knows, maybe you got some uranium floating around in there. And then you have to work with a medical professional, with a doctor who's an expert in chelation therapy, either using EDTA, DMPS, or DMSA, or ideally they'll have expertise in administering all of these and understand which one is going to be best for the heavy metals that you specifically are dealing with. And then another general thing for mopping up toxins in the body is activated charcoal. So this actually doesn't get absorbed, but just moves through and helps to, through adsorption, helps to bind up and mop up toxins. And actually for this reason and its ability of pulling out metabolic toxins, these are not toxins that come externally, but just byproducts of your body's own metabolism and functioning, is one of the greatest potential things that we've seen in animal studies for lifespan extension. So ultimately, detoxification can be a very powerful thing on one's health journey, especially as we're exposed to so many toxins these days, much more than we would have ever encountered in a natural ancestral environment. And we're also living much longer than ancestral humans may have. So that means we're accumulating toxins for longer. So for multiple reasons, we generally need to think about having a proactive approach to detoxification and making sure our liver is supported. And you got to understand liver genetics as well. Ideally, if you have a genetic test done, you'll understand, are you a good stage 1 detoxifier in your liver, or are you a good stage 2 detoxifier? Is one slow and the other is fast? So they're going to be imbalanced and one needs more support than the other. This is something that's, as a life tool for long-term health, something that's good to understand. So detoxification is an epic journey. And I hope some of these tools will get you started off on a good path there.